Welcome back to Silver Screen Talks. Two thrill seekers climb a 2,000-foot abandoned radio tower for the ultimate adrenaline rush. Sounds daring, right? But when things go horribly wrong, they're left stranded with no way down, battling fear, hunger, and the harsh reality of survival. Fall isn't just a movie, it's a pulse-pounding fight for life, pushing human limits to terrifying heights. Ready to dive into this gripping survival story? New to the channel? Hit that subscribe button. We bring you amazing movies with detailed explanation which you won't want to miss out. At the beginning of the story, we see Hunter, Becky, and Dan engaged in mountain climbing. Becky and Dan are a married couple. During the climb, Dan notices a small hole where he wants to secure his safety wire. As Dan reaches into the hole to attach the hook, a bird suddenly flies out. Startled, Dan loses his balance and begins to fall. However, because he is connected to the safety wires, he ends up dangling a short distance down. Dan tries his best to save himself and reach the rocks, but he is unable to. Becky and Hunter want to help him. Becky loosens her safety clips to give Dan a chance to climb up using the rocks. However, just then, one of Dan's safety clips detaches and he falls to his death. In the next scene, we see that 51 weeks have passed and Becky is shown to be deeply grieving Dan's death. She has started drinking heavily. Becky's father tries to console her and advises her to let go of the past and move forward. He tells her that what's gone is gone and she should focus on her future. However, Becky refuses to listen to him and leaves. She is unable to cope with Dan's death, which leaves her deeply depressed. In her despair, Becky contemplates suicide and decides to take sleeping pills to end her life. But just as she is about to do so, her best friend Hunter calls. Hunter comes over to Becky's house and tells her that she plans to climb the B-67 TV tower this week. Hunter insists that Becky should join her. However, Becky refuses, saying that after Dan's death, she can no longer climb, and she breaks down in tears. The next morning, Becky looks at Dan's picture, remembers him, and motivates herself. She then tells Hunter, "Let's climb your stupid tower." Hearing this, Hunter excitedly hugs Becky. The two then set off for the tower. On the way, Becky receives a call from her father, but she ignores it. On the way, it gets dark, and the two stop at a hotel for dinner. There, Becky learns that Hunter is a vlogger and uploads videos of everything she does to cover her travel expenses. From the hotel, they catch a glimpse of the tower. Hunter explains to Becky that it used to be the tallest tower in the US, but now it's just an old relic that's out of commission. The next morning, Becky and Hunter get into the car to head to the tower. Hunter begins filming for her vlog as they set off. Shortly before reaching the tower, they come across a gate that is locked and has a danger sign on it. Ignoring the warning, Becky and Hunter climb over the gate and move forward. A little further ahead, they spot some vultures feeding on a dead animal. Hunter captures all of this on her phone, documenting it for her vlog. She even posts a picture of the dead animal on her Instagram, and within minutes, the post gets a lot of likes. Becky and Hunter finally reach the base of the tower. Here, Hunter once again starts recording a video on her phone, explaining to her viewers that this is the fourth largest tower in the US, and she's about to climb it with her friend. Seeing the sheer height of the tower, Becky becomes anxious and extremely scared. Trembling, she tells Hunter that she can't do it, saying, "I can't handle this." Hunter tries to calm Becky down, encouraging her and boosting her confidence. She reassures Becky that there's nothing to fear and that she just needs to trust herself. After a moment, Becky collects herself and the two prepare to climb the tower. They begin their ascent, but the tower, being very old, is rusted and in poor condition. Hunter leads the way, and Becky follows closely behind. After climbing a short distance, one of the ladder steps breaks, which terrifies Becky even more. She tells Hunter that she needs a break because she's thirsty. At that moment, Hunter informs Becky that they've already climbed 1,000 feet, and from this height, the entire city looks tiny. The wind has also started to pick up. After a brief rest, they continue climbing. Hunter warns Becky that the internal ladder is about to end, and that they'll need to climb the final 200 feet using an external ladder. She advises Becky to stay calm and avoid panicking. Despite Hunter's encouragement, Becky is still very frightened. Summoning her courage, she climbs the internal ladder and reaches the top. However, the view from there overwhelms her with fear. Becky tells Hunter that she can't go any further. Hunter once again motivates her, saying, "Just look up, you can do this." Becky somehow musters the courage to keep climbing. However, when she glances down, her fear intensifies. Hunter continues to motivate Becky, urging her to keep looking up and stay focused. Suddenly, a screw from the ladder comes loose and falls, adding to the tension. Despite all the difficulties, Becky and Hunter finally reach the top of the tower. The view from the top is breathtaking, with the vast expanse of the landscape stretching in every direction. Becky feels a deep sense of accomplishment as she conquers her fear. Both of them are overjoyed. Hunter captures the unforgettable moment with photos on her phone and has fun celebrating their achievement. She even uses her drone to film a video of the incredible view and their adventure. Hunter then dangles off the edge of the tower and asks Becky to take her pictures. Afterward, she encourages Becky to do the same, saying that she needs to let go of her fear completely. Gathering her courage, Becky follows Hunter's lead and hangs off the edge for some photos. This daring act makes Becky feel exhilarated and free. Becky had also brought Dan's ashes with her. In a poignant moment, she scatters his ashes from the top of the tower, finally finding closure and honoring his memory. Becky and Hunter begin preparing to descend the tower. Becky starts climbing down first. However, as she takes a few steps, one of the ladder screws comes loose, causing the entire ladder to detach and fall. Becky also loses her footing and starts plummeting downward, but is saved by her harness, leaving her dangling midair. Hunter desperately tries to pull Becky back up, and after a tense struggle, she finally manages to bring her to safety. However, now they face a major challenge. Without the ladder, there is no clear way for them to descend the tower. Panicking, Becky and Hunter check their phones, but there is no signal. Becky begins to feel overwhelmed with fear, but Hunter calms her down, saying they need to think clearly and that panicking won't help. While searching for a solution, they notice an emergency box attached to the tower. Inside, they find a pair of binoculars and a flare gun. Hunter uses the binoculars to scan the area but sees no one in sight. Then, they spot their bag, which has fallen and gotten stuck on an antenna below the tower. The bag contains some essential supplies, including water. As they assess their situation, Hunter notices a deep cut on Becky's leg, likely caused during her fall. Blood is oozing from the wound. Without hesitation, Hunter tears off her shirt and ties it around Becky's leg to stop the bleeding. Becky and Hunter are now stranded at the top of the tower. Becky starts to panic, but Hunter reassures her, saying she's confident that someone will eventually come to rescue them. With this hope, they wait, and 5 long hours pass. During this time, Hunter remembers that while there's no signal at the top of the tower, there was a signal at the base. The two come up with a plan. Hunter decides to use her phone to post a message on social media asking for help. With 60,000 followers, she hopes someone will see the post and call 911. The challenge now is to get the phone down to where it can pick up a signal. First, they try tying the phone to a rope and lowering it down. However, this doesn't work as planned. Becky then suggests a risky idea. They could drop the phone directly to the ground, ensuring it lands in such a way that it doesn't break. If the phone survives the fall and detects a signal, the message could still post. To protect the phone, Hunter stuffs it inside her shoe and pads it with additional cushioning to absorb the impact. With hope and desperation, they throw the phone down, praying that it survives the fall and posts the message that could save their lives. Just then, Hunter spots a man below the tower. Both Becky and Hunter shout at the top of their lungs to grab his attention. Becky even throws her shoe down in an attempt to make him notice them, but the man doesn't pay attention and starts walking away. Moments later, Hunter notices an RV parked nearby with a man inside. They decide to wait until nightfall, thinking that firing the flare gun in the dark will be more visible and attract the RV driver's attention. As it gets dark, Becky fires the flare gun and the bright light catches the attention of the man in the RV. To their relief, he begins driving toward the tower. Becky and Hunter feel a surge of hope, believing that help has finally arrived. However, when the man reaches the base of the tower and spots their car, he seizes the opportunity to steal it and drives away, leaving them stranded. Their hope turns into despair as they realize they are still stuck. They somehow manage to endure the cold and terrifying night. When morning arrives, Becky expresses her frustration, telling Hunter, "Either your 60,000 followers don't care, or your phone is in pieces, and that's why no one has come to help us." Hunter, still determined, suggests they try sending the phone down again. However, Becky refuses, pointing out that they no longer have anything to use as padding to protect the phone. As they brainstorm, they think of Hunter's drone, realizing that if they could retrieve it, they might be able to attach a note and send it to the nearby hotel for help. But the drone is in the bag that fell and is now stuck on the antenna far below them. Hunter suggests that she might be able to reach the bag. Becky, worried about her safety, tries to stop her, but Hunter insists. She argues that the bag contains a bottle of water, and without it, they won't survive much longer due to dehydration. Determined to take the risk, Hunter begins descending the rope toward the bag. With great difficulty, Hunter manages to get close to the bag, but she can't quite reach it. Frustrated, she tells Becky that she might be able to jump to the bag. Becky panics and pleads with her not to attempt it, urging her to climb back up instead. Ignoring Becky's warnings, Hunter detaches her carabiner from the rope, preparing to swing herself closer to the bag. She gathers her courage, swings herself, and leaps toward the bag. Fortunately, she lands near the bag and grabs hold of it, successfully retrieving it. Hunter manages to grab the bag but faces another challenge. She is too far from the rope to climb back up. Thinking quickly, Hunter takes a selfie stick from the bag and uses it to hook the bag onto the rope. She then clings to the bag and tells Becky to pull her up as she tries to climb. Becky starts pulling the rope with all her strength, and Hunter begins ascending. Just as Hunter is about to reach the top, her foot slips and she starts to fall. Becky panics and looks down, terrified, only to see that Hunter has managed to grab hold of the bag and stop herself from plummeting further. Hunter shouts up to Becky, explaining that her hands are injured and she can't climb anymore. She pleads with Becky to use all her strength to pull her up. Summoning every ounce of energy, Becky pulls on the rope with full force. After a tense struggle, Hunter finally makes it back to the top. However, her hands are badly injured. Without wasting any time, Becky writes a note asking for help. She attaches the note to Hunter's drone and tries to fly it toward the nearby hotel. Unfortunately, the drone's battery starts running low after covering some distance, forcing Becky to bring it back. This failure deeply disheartens Becky, and she begins to lose hope, convinced they might die on the tower. Hunter, despite her injuries, encourages Becky, reminding her not to give up. She reassures her that they'll keep trying and must stay strong. As the hours pass, darkness falls once again, adding to the tension. Becky dreams that Hunter has died, and vultures are tearing apart her lifeless body. Terrified, she wakes up in a panic. Hunter reassures her, telling her it was just a bad dream, and tries to calm her down. Soon after, Becky notices a light at the top of the tower and gets an idea. She realizes they could use the light to charge the drone. Since the light is a little higher up, they decide to wait for morning. As dawn breaks, Becky climbs up to the light, facing some difficulties along the way. After a struggle, she reaches the light and removes the bulb. She struggles to plug in the charger, but has to hold it in place since it doesn't fit properly. Just then, vultures start attacking Becky, causing her to lose her grip and drop her bag. Despite the chaos, Becky manages to charge the drone and climbs back down. Exhausted, Becky begins to doze off, but she forces herself to stay awake, waiting for the hotel to open. As soon as the hotel opens, she flies the drone with a note attached, aiming for the hotel. Unfortunately, as the drone nears the hotel, it collides with a truck and crashes to the ground, breaking into pieces. Becky watches in despair as their last hope is destroyed. Overcome with emotion, she breaks down and cries, feeling hopeless now that everything seems lost. Becky tells Hunter that they now only have one option left. Just as Hunter had thrown her phone down to try to get a signal, Becky will throw her phone down too. For this, she asks Hunter for her shoes. Hunter refuses, saying her shoes are down below. That's when Becky realizes that Hunter had died when she fell earlier, and everything happening now was just her imagination. Looking down, Becky sees Hunter's lifeless body impaled on the antenna, being eaten by vultures. Overcome with grief, Becky breaks down in tears. In her despair, she starts to think of her father, and looks through old memories on her phone, where she recalls the moments she spent with him. With a heavy heart, she records a video on her phone, apologizing to her father for the way she treated him. In the video, Becky tells him that she's currently on the B67 TV tower, and that by the time he sees this, she may already be gone. Meanwhile, Becky's father, worried about her, is desperately calling her phone. The next day, Becky is in a dire state, dehydrated and weak from hunger. In a semi-conscious state, a vulture begins to feed on her wounds. As Becky regains consciousness, she grabs the vulture and, driven by hunger, kills it and starts eating it. This act helps Becky regain some strength. Determined to survive, she begins her descent to reach Hunter's body. When she reaches Hunter, Becky is overcome with sorrow, deeply regretting the loss of her friend. She apologizes to Hunter for everything. Becky then takes Hunter's shoe and carefully packs her phone inside it. She has written a final message for her father, which will be sent once the phone picks up a signal. In a desperate move, Becky places the phone inside Hunter's body to ensure it safely reaches the ground. She apologizes to Hunter one last time, explaining that this is her last hope. Becky throws Hunter's body down the tower. Fortunately, her plan works, and the phone reaches the ground, sending the message to her father. Her father rushes to the tower, but by the time he arrives, a rescue team has already brought Becky down safely. So this was the end of the movie. Hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then hit the thumbs up. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Stay tuned for more detailed explanation of movies. Thanks for watching.